Hello, hello, hello. Cynthia Harrison here from Rhombus Healing Arts. Welcome to the Intuitive Medicine, Energy Medicine Power Readings for Monday, 6 p.m. And if you're over East, it's probably around 9 p.m. So I hope you were able to catch the daylight savings difference. So welcome. There's a couple of people coming on now, and say hello or comment or let me know what's been going on if I know you, or even if I don't know you, what's been happening in your world this week or since I spoke to you last Monday. I've had a massive weekend. Hey, Kath. And Vicky, hey. So, Kath, you got the time change. I still haven't changed the time on the actual event because the events just come out every Monday. So I'll have to go in and change that for the time differences. But I honestly cannot keep up because the world keeps shifting their time zones and thinking the sun's different and all the rest of it. So what do you do? Hi, Murray. Good evening. So tonight, what I thought we might muse about a little, unless there's some other questions that come in, is so over the weekend, as some of you know, I was at the Conscious Living Expo in Perth, and it was 3 days, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so setting up Thursday, and it was tough. Thank goodness I know energy medicine, because from very early mornings to late evenings, and being around so much noise and action and different types of people, and so my booth was a mixture of the biofield viewer but also energy medicine and an amalgamation of the things that I do. So being in those spaces and being open so that you can do your work, but also having loudspeakers directly above your head when the stage is like only, a few hundred meters away, the main stage was difficult. Was difficult at times. It was almost like being at a concert and trying to speak to somebody, but it was all day. That's how loud it was. So it felt like we were having to yell when we're dealing with very subtle energies. So it was this real dichotomy of things going on. But it worked okay. It worked okay. I would do things differently next time. And the reason that I'm telling you that is because why I do this Monday call is to share with you what we can do to assist our energy systems. So let me fix this. To assist our energy systems to be able to deal with all sorts of environments, lots of smells and noises and people's energies, and there was, perfumes and all sorts of things going on, all sorts of energies and resins and amazing things, but they're all in some way foreign to my environment, right? So I can imagine there's a lot of other people that felt that as well. So what I was doing, and my energies, you know, this is what I do for a living. And I was still having to work my energy systems regularly throughout the day to be able to keep vital, to be able to then do my work and be able to hold people's energies within that. Because if you're coming to let's just say an energy practitioner, for instance, your energies are, I'm thinking of the words, like having to be a little vulnerable to have the change. So do you understand what I'm saying? Are you following me? It's like, let me just scroll up and see. Yeah. Snazzy flower. Yeah. This flower, Murray, let me just, I can't sort out my computer. This is a very old flower, and I used to wear it either on my, you know, the top, because I often wear big boots and anyway, different things. So all the things that I wear generally have, well, they have layers of meaning to them. So I used to wear this flower a lot, either in my hair or when I was teaching, usually when I was teaching intentional creativity, so painting the muse and accessing through creativity, I would wear a lot of red things. So I've even got little red earrings on. But to me, they're little pieces of energy. So I'm almost sculpting what I wear, and it's not necessarily the look of it, it's the feel of it. So this flower has a lot of significance and has been through pretty much most of my intentional creativity painting classes. I've worn this flower in some way, either in my hair, on my hats, because I wear hats a lot, on the tops of my boots, on my dresses, sometimes on belts and things like that. And these bracelets are representative of the red thread, which is also a ritual in those intentional creativity classes. And one of these has, I think I showed you yesterday, has, so Alex, a good friend of mine, gave me this red beads, and it's got Michael and Mary on it, which are significant to her, not necessarily me, but the energy of her and her support. She supported me. She actually supported me on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and she's heavily pregnant. And she's supported me over the years teaching energy medicine when I've needed, you know, helpers. She volunteers. She volunteers, and you know, she's been a great support. So, you know, this represents, you know, her and that support and love and connection and a few other things. Anyway, so it's basically energy. Hello, Amy and Jennifer and Jody, and who else is here? Louise, you're back. Yay. I went to GC 600 on the weekend. What's GC 600? Remind me. Okay, so I got off track because Murray mentioned my bling, my flower. It's actually a leather flower. And one of my teachers, my beloved teacher, Shiloh Sophia, she wears a silver leather flower when she teaches often. So, you know, there's all these connections. You didn't mention my velvet green jacket, which is probably about 20 years old. Oh my goodness. I used to wear this as a social worker because, you know, we had to dress in a particular way, and I just still couldn't come to, you know, plain suits. So anyway, this is one of my velvet green jacket I used to wear when I was a social worker. It's a bit chilly here tonight, so I'll put it on. All right, what are we on about tonight? We are going to discuss a little bit more about stress, because on the weekend at the expo, which is what I started off talking about, there were so many stressors in the field. And what I was saying was that I was regularly, you know, I can feel my energies going. I can feel when, you know, usually I feel it in my eyes. I get really tired eyes, which doesn't mean that I'm tired as in sleepy, or it shows me that it's to do with my fire element. And when I do exercises or energy tools or techniques to do with the fire element, it goes away, and I have my vibrancy back. So there's lots of tools and techniques, and I try and share some every week in some way, shape or form. And tonight I wanted to talk about the main neurovascular reflex points, because yesterday when I was doing my speaking spot, we didn't go as deep into it as I would have liked due to time. I just touched on a lot of things. So what I thought I would do is go deeper into the things that I spoke about on the weekend through the Facebook Lives, and then they're here for everybody to access whenever they might need them, or to continually go back to and hear the teachings. So I thought I would try that this week. But you know me, I'll go wherever we need to. So Amy's saying, are you doing reading, scanning today? Yes. I'm not sure what type. I do want to talk about the neurovasculars, and I am going to invite you to try it with me. So let's see what other people are saying. Car race at Surfers Paradise. Oh, okay. So the GC 600 is car race. Okay, cool. I can only see how grounded you are today. I've had a big weekend, so maybe that's just tired, but no, I am grounded. I did a bunch of really basic energy techniques before I came on, because I wanted to be able to really share things without flitting off as I do. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because that's fire, and you know, it is an element that we all have, but it's an element that I have a lot of. And so when I flit off and, you know, do my multidimensional thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just, sometimes I can lose people and then they can't get the depth of what I'm talking about. So we just have to be aware of that. So what I'm going to do is just, I haven't shared this to my other groups yet. So if there's things that you would like to know about while I'm doing this, pop them in the chat. So I'm basically just going to share this to my main group, because we're on Rhombus Healing Arts, and I'd like to share to my main page. And let me know if you can hear me okay, because the microphone's over there. It's just a little headset. I hate wearing them in my ears, so I'm hoping that it's loud enough. Okay? You with me? You gonna talk to me tonight? Cool. Jody, did you get to the expo? I didn't see you. Were you able to get there? I saw a lot of people I haven't seen in years. It was wonderful. So, whoops. Okay. Can hear me perfectly. Perfectly perfect, Kath. How have you been doing, Kath? What's been happening with you that you want to share to thousands of people? Okay. So, you know, I've had a lot of posts come across and information shared with me over the last few weeks. But, I mean, it's something that I've looked at for years, how, you know, subliminal stress hits us, how the technologies impact us, and those sorts of things. But lately there's been a lot about the 5G. So I'm not sure if any of you have been you know, worried about that or seen some of the posts and whatnot, I've posted a few. I posted a good one about the UK court case just earlier, so you can have a look at that. Now, I don't go into fear about it, and the reason that I don't is because we have energy medicine tools, okay? So I suppose we all pick our fights or pick our battles or where we're going to invest our energy. I choose to invest my energy in sharing the techniques and the tools and the information around how to keep ourselves vital, our own systems evolving as this technology evolves, so that we can keep up, we can keep vital, we can keep well, we can continually evolve our systems physically and energetically as the technology in our world and environment keeps shifting and changing. That's what I'm about, okay? I don't think I say it enough as seriously or as grounded as I am today, but that's what I'm about, right? Wellness, the evolution of the human, so that we can deal with the lights, you know, the lights that are shining on me now. When I get up to do speaking in front of, you know, a bunch of people that are all staring at me, and we know that depending on where they're at, that's going to impact my field to a degree and vice versa. So how do we negotiate our field, our environment? So I talked about that a little bit yesterday, but I'm going to be getting more and more into this because of what's coming into our world more and more, okay? And I have the information, so I'm going to share it. So today, what we're going to talk about is the main neurovascular reflex points, and they are these points here. So you can just put your hands directly in line with your pupil generally, and most people will have a little bump there. Some people have really flat foreheads, that's all right, and then you would just put your hands there. You can do it with one hand. Now, the reason that I want to speak about this, and it won't be the whole thing, you can still ask your questions, but you know that I like to start off, in case there aren't any questions, I want to give you something that you can use. So does this sort of sound interesting to you or not? Give us a like or a heart or something. So Kath's saying, good, it's been an interesting week energy-wise. This week seems to be a lot happening in the world at the moment. Oh my goodness, there's always a lot happening in the world at the moment. It's just never ending now. So hence what I'm sharing. And Jodie's saying she can hear me. Didn't end up going. Okay, cool. Loud and clear. Good. Just remember that if this is cool to you, like at the top as well, so that other people get an idea that maybe they might like to tune in and share this as well. All right, let's get into it. So neurovascular points, we've got lots of them. I'll show you a picture in a moment. I wasn't going to, but you know, I never stick to the script, do I? Often don't have a script. But the neurovascular reflex points are on the head. Most of them are on the head. Neurolymphatics are generally on the body. Neurovasculars, when we touch them, the blood circulation is drawn back to those points. So we can, and they're touched gently. They're not rubbed and thumped like some of our points that, you know, we do thumping and rubbing and all the rest of it. They're just held very gently. You don't want to make marks. You know, I see sometimes people pushing. We just touch them gently. And they're all over the head. I'll actually show you a picture just so you get a visual. Take it out of my manual. Hang on a minute. So I'm not going to talk about all of these points. I'm talking about the main, but I just want to show you, okay? So can you see all those? Hang on, there we go. The points. So they're neurovascular. The red ones are the electric points and the power point. So they're different, but the yellow sort of coloured are the neurovascular points, right? And there's the main ones. But basically what I'm saying is when you hold them, it boosts the blood circulation and draws the blood that has been diverted to the limbs and the chest for the stress response. It's the backup, you know, that response, that back up into the brain. And when we hold them, it helps recenter us emotionally, basically. It's all to do with the fight, flight, freeze. So you can see that all of these points, they'll have, let me see, it's hard to show you because it's all back to front. But you can see some of them, the top of the head is the lung, heart, central liver, gallbladder and whatnot. But the main neurovasculars at the center of the forehead, and Donna Eden calls them the oh my God points because they affect all the meridians and energy systems. So, you know, you can see that there's a lot of, hang on, you can see that there's a lot of points. I'm trying to get it straight. But what we're talking about is the main ones today because they're the really powerful ones and they're so simple to use. So these points can reprogram a particular response to stress, right? It's that energy loop. So I gave you a good long look at that. Anyway, there's no secrets there. It's just, literally you can get that information anywhere. It's neurovascular reflex points, okay? Let me just see if there's any. Okay, so somebody's saying, yep, great. I seem to be a sponge again, get cleared, and then go to the computer and just pick up on the energy and feel drained again. Shelby, welcome. Do you see a move for me, please? Okay. Hey, Jenna. And Jennifer's saying, very sensitive to smell past few days. Okay. All right, so let me get on with these reflex points, okay? And sensitivities and allergies related to stress, right? Everything's related to stress. So having some of these tools will assist you, but this is just one, okay? So we can counteract that loop, that energy response loop. And some of you have done drawing with me. So drawing and coloring in also is a tool that can help that looping of a thought, right? But this can also. So basically I'm going to get you to hold it if you would like to while we're speaking. So just placing your hands on those main neurovascular reflex points and breathing. So even while I'm talking, and what happens is the blood comes back to that prefrontal cortex, okay? And there'll be like the capillaries start to pulse because the blood's coming back, right? So in a response to an emergency, we can lose up to 80% from that forebrain, 80% of blood. Well, it might even be more now, but the research that I was looking at was 80%. So what I've been taught. So you keep holding them in what way I tell you, and then you just see, and you can let me know how you feel. And then I'll give you other ways to work with them, okay? Because it's really simple. It's so simple. We don't need these really technical ways, okay? So if we are losing the blood from that, from that prefrontal cortex, we're not able to think as rationally or have the clarity or the problem-solving skills or abilities. So we sort of go into autopilot when we're in stress or when that reptilian brain takes over. We go into autopilot. Have you all experienced that? I'm just going to scroll the screen so I can see. Hey, Scylla, I didn't see you on the weekend. I thought I saw you. I waved to a woman that I thought was you and it wasn't you. Anyway, you were missed, Scylla. So I'm glad to have you here today. So the reptilian brain takes over. So this isn't, I think this is really common knowledge. So I hope I'm, not going to bore you, but I think it's important to go through it again, because somebody told me on the weekend that she hears me speak all the time. Over the years, she hears me say similar things again and again, but she says every time she hears it, she gets something else from it. So I'm just going to keep saying the same stuff. I'm going to keep saying what's the truth as far as I know to this day, to this point in time. Okay, so in addition to the redistribution of blood from the forebrain, the stress chemicals flood your body, and that has a distorting of the accuracy of your thoughts and perceptions. Okay, so when or if your experience is extremely traumatic or is repeated regularly, which basically is what is trauma. It's something that's continuously experienced, or it's regular. Could not make it, thanks. Oh, Scylla's just saying she couldn't make it. Yeah, well, I had an eye out for you. Okay, so what was I saying? So trauma, so repeating patterns. This response then becomes habitual, or a pattern in your physiology, and can even begin to reconfigure your personality, or your, you can develop traits, so to speak. So this is all sort of general, I don't want to go too deep, but I want to give you a little bit. So are you still holding these points? 2 to 3 minutes. If you've got something really happening for you, you hold them longer, but at least 3 minutes until you feel that pulsing. And what will happen is you'll probably feel one pulse and the other not, and they might even get irregular. So what we do is we hold them gently, very gently. Remember, we don't push. And when their pulsing is synchronized, then we know the blood is back. If you're holding them and it synchronizes and then it goes away again, continue to hold them, because that can often happen. Often it's easier for somebody else to feel the pulsing. So if you don't feel the pulsing, don't worry. You might feel something else. You might just feel it within, rather than on the actual neurovascular points. Okay. So if the blood has left that forebrain area to support your fight, flight, freeze, so you're running, kicking, biting, feigning death is like a well, it's actually beyond the freeze, the feigning death, but we'll talk about it another day. You aren't working at your full capacity, okay? It's very difficult to access clear, accurate thinking when you're in that state. Your perceptions of reality are often distorted. So think about when you've been stressed, and I think everybody, well, I know everybody's had stress, but when you've been really overwhelmed and you're trying to do your job or deal with the kids or whatever, So let me know if you relate to this. I'm just going to scroll and see there's no more questions. Okay, cool. Got one person that's had experienced stress. I'm sure there's more. So this is something that you could do. And for children, I often use this for, extremely distressed children. I teach their parents just to hold their prefrontal cortex and regulate, because what we're trying to do is build a habit of bringing that, I'll call it information, but it's the blood back to the prefrontal cortex, okay, from the stress response. So post-traumatic stress is so Jodie's given us a thumbs up, yeah. Post-traumatic stress is the extreme of this, is the extreme of that emergency response loop, that looping of thoughts. I know this really well. I had PTSD for many years, many years. And that's what really got me focused on wellness and stress and trauma and whatnot, because of my life and what I experienced, and having a family that, you know, generations after generations in the Defence Forces, and, you know, veterans and PTSD throughout. Trauma can be generational as well. So working with Indigenous populations in and around Perth, and seeing the generational impact of, you know, the stress and trauma from our history, not to get into that right now. So we often say, but they didn't go through it, or, you know, what happened to my father or my grandfather or grandmother or whatever, how could that impact me? It impacts on numerous levels. So it's learned behaviour, it's how they model and how they are in the world, and we see that, but it's also biological and energetic, how that's passed down, how our organism understands what world we're coming into before we even do that. Also goes back to what we would call our prenatal essence, you know, the essence of our parents and how that's passed on to us, and then the essence or the life force energy that we're born with. So what I'm talking about is more sort of postnatal essence, so how we deal with keeping the energy and the essence that we have now. Evening, Diane. That energy that we have now, and how we can invest it and actually draw on our investments, like money in the bank, you know, you're making a withdrawal. So being able to do that for ourselves. So by holding these points, we're able to direct the blood flow and that chemistry, and like I said, those energetic patterns, to calm and stabilize the nervous system. Oh, someone upstairs. Okay, so it's about nervous system health, really. Pretty much everything I talk about, I might talk about energy, but it's often to do with the nervous system and our nervous system health. So we want to end that response loop. And then that primitive brain, that reptilian brain or the old brain, that the crisis, we want to tell that the crisis is not a threat. So on the weekend, we talked a lot about triple warmer and spleen, and how triple warmer is like that soldier meridian that is protecting us, and triple warmer spleen meridians are very much involved with our stress response, but also our immune system. So I'll, you know, over the weeks, I think I'll probably share some of the tools and techniques to deal with that as well, because it goes deeper and deeper. And then you can still ask your questions and whatnot. So have you been holding the points? And if you have, how do you feel? I'm not sure if you were holding your points. And did you feel the pulsing? Oh, Scylla's saying she missed the points. Please show again. Okay, so here's your chance. We're going again. So it's basically, Scylla, it's so simple. It's these 2 points on your forehead. Okay. I'm going to actually show you, because you might have missed this, Scylla, and some of you, and Diane, you might have missed this too. These are the other neurovascular reflex points. But the ones that I'm talking about are the frontal neurovascular. They're also can be used for stomach and central meridian and central vessel and bladder. But yeah, so I hope that helps. But basically, we're just holding them gently. with, I just use my pointer and my middle finger. You can use all of them if you want, but you're just gently holding and you're waiting for the pulse. But if you have a stressor, so something that keeps looping, pardon me, you can hold those points and just breathe, and it's like a little meditation, but you're just waiting for the regulation or the blood to come back to the prefrontal cortex, so the pulsing. And every time you do that on that particular looped thought, it takes the sting off it. Because it becomes, when I say sting, it's like sting is like the trigger, you know. If we do it regularly enough, okay, so Kath's saying, I felt pulsing at the bridge of my nose and just above my eyebrows. Okay. I feel calm afterwards. Yeah. So great. So you can use those. Kath, I think you're feeling some other things going on, which is great, because I feel that too. I feel a lot going on here, but you know, it's still an indication that the blood is coming back to the front of the head, which is what we're wanting. All right, for these stress responses, we don't always want that, do we? It's interesting that every time I do a Facebook Live, the thing comes up to say that I have to upgrade my Java or something. Anyway, every week, every single time. Anyway, so Scilla, do you understand what I'm talking about? What the points are? We're just holding these now. When you're lying down, or if you're in bed, or you know, relaxing, you can use your whole hand. And you can put your other hand on the back of the head. You know, you can lay down. I mean, you can hold your hands like this, but you can lay down and relax as well. But I wanted you to experience the pulsing of the blood coming back and the capillaries, you know, doing their thing. Okay. What else? So you can hold these points when you're in the crisis. So if you've just seen something, or you're experiencing something new, like you're at work and you feel the stress coming on, or you're in it, or somebody else is, you can just go and hold their forehead or hold like this. Okay? And I would teach the kids, the children, how to do this too. Because the thing is that what my work was, and still is, but what we're trying to do is teach you how to regulate while you're not in the stress. So that when the stressors come in, your system's repatterned enough that you may just have to breathe or hold or do a couple of small little tools just to regulate back, right? So, you know, a lot of the training, I used to say, you know, in the Defence Force, we get put through all these drills and all this training so that we don't even have to think when it all hits the fan, or if there's, you know, if we are sent off somewhere to do some sort of job that is life-threatening, we are not going to go into that where we can't think and act and be like able to do our job to, you know, save ourselves and others, or protect ourselves and others, right? This is why we do it. That's why pilots are put through their drills. How, you know, you think about everybody, nurses, you go through these things over and over and over and over and over and over again until you don't even have to think, because in those jobs, they're high stress jobs. And then when you're in the stress, you've repatterned so that it doesn't take your thinking capability or your problem solving offline. And so, you know, I used to say when I was a social worker that if the shit hit the fan, you want me with you because of all my training in, you know, martial arts and the Defence Force and whatnot, because that's how my brain had been trained. Yet it did go into other ways that weren't so functional in the real world, so to speak. But being able to keep it together in stress was very natural to me. So it's interesting. Anyway, that's another story. It's interesting to me how, yeah, I love how the brain works and reprograms and tries to keep us safe. But then when we no longer need that programming to keep safe, it then becomes a dysfunctional pattern that we continue. And a lot of what PTSD is around that. It's these looping thoughts or, you know, the hypervigilance and whatnot. Is just trying to keep us safe. It's like almost like a stuck program. So let's see if there's any questions. So Jody holds them to get to sleep. Yes. Yeah, they're good ones to hold to get to sleep. I also hold these ones. I'll teach you these another day. I have taught them before, but that's to do with the pineal, pituitary and hypothalamus and the liver points, but also how the hormones run through the head as well, and they're carried on the blood, so you can sort of see how they link up, because if we're sorting out the blood flow, then we're also assisting the hormones, or the because the hormones are like the little, you know, the little messengers for our body. So yeah. So basically over time, by doing this, you're going to evolve the way your brain automatically responds to stress. Can you see that? So you then allowing everything to be more balanced, and your responses to life stresses are just that, responses rather than reactions. So any questions or comments about any of that? So I did tell you, so basically you can do it. Can you hear the duck? I don't know where the duck came from. So basically by holding those, so summarizing that, and then we can go into something else. We've been going for about 40 minutes. By holding these main neurovascular reflex points, or the, oh my God, points, as Donna Eden calls them, because that's what we do, don't we? Oh my God, or oh my goodness, oh my stars. That's what we do, okay? It's a reason that we do that. It draws the blood, the energy, the oxygen, the cerebral spinal fluid back into the brain, so you can reprogram that stress response. So what we do, we hold them, we bring to mind a time where you were overwhelmed emotionally or something similar. You place your fingers on these neurovascular reflex points gently, don't push them. We're just touching them, just making contact. You know, you don't want to be pushing them, because other points I teach you, you're pushing and rubbing, but these ones just gently, you're just gently touching. It's really important, because then you're more likely to feel the pulsing as well. Now, you don't need to feel the pulsing, but just as a demo, some of you might feel that. And then you're going to do it for 3 to 5 minutes. And while you think of the stress, you want to sink deeply into the emotion and the stress as you hold the points. Now, you don't want to do it on something that's got a big hit on it. So this isn't about trauma. This isn't about your trauma. I don't want you to do this on a trauma, okay? This is a stress, something that emotionally is upsetting you. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I don't want you to spiral into the trauma, because I'm not there to help you get back out, right? So if that does happen to you, let me know. But I'm telling you to pick something that is, you know, stressing you in your everyday, okay? And we're not doing trauma work right now. So we're holding these points. As I said, you can alternatively hold the, you know, behind the eyes. You can put your hand at the back of the head and hold the front. That's lovely too. That's really powerful, because these are, you know, other neurovascular points, but it's also the pituitary and hypothalamus points as well. That's another story. So after a few minutes, you'll probably find you've had a shift in your subjective response to that memory, right? And if you repeat this on, you know, different days, then you're going to, over time, on whatever that emotion is, you're going to lessen the sting of it. So when you bring that memory up again, there won't be so much sting on it. Does that make sense? Let's see. Questions? Oh no, there's no other questions. Okay. I don't think there's any other questions. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I mean, depending on the severity, like I said, of the issue, you know, you would hold longer or shorter. If often I've seen people hold them and a lot of tears come up, so they'll, you know, a lot of emotion will come up, crying. Continue to hold them so it moves through. So that's probably an important point. So if you are holding them and a lot of emotion starts to come up, continue to hold. It's like pain when I'm saying to hold particular points or doing particular work. So we've been doing a lot of, so yesterday we were demonstrating it's called Vortex Revival. And sometimes when I've done that, people get, hello, Dahlia, good evening. You'll have to go back and watch the replay, because we've just gone through a whole discussion on neurovascular points for stress and how to hold them and what they're about. So it'll be probably good for you to go back and have a look at that and just try them out, because they're really powerful. But anyway, the point is that when I'm doing particular work, sometimes you'll feel pressure in certain parts of the body. Now, years ago, when somebody felt pain, I would stop. But that meant it would often, not always, it would mean that they're left with that, because that's where the energy got to, and it needed to push through that. So the pain is like an excess of energy, but then it pushes through and it releases. So what I've learned over the years is that continually to do it, whatever that might be. So for instance, yesterday it was the Vortex Revival, which is, you know, bringing that vortex from earth up the body. You know, we're just assisting what we call the suckability of that energy to come up the body. And I'm finding that a lot in people, that's not coming up as far as it should. So it means that people aren't able to pull that life force energy up as far as they could for more vitality. Pretty much every person that I've seen over the last few weeks has had that issue to do with kidney meridian, kidney energy, life force energy, and that vortex coming up. Also a lot of polarity stuff going on, which links to, like Kath was saying, there's a lot going on in the world, in the environment, So these are all related, because if your polarity keeps going out, you can't earth well. And if you can't earth well, you're not able to pull that energy up from the earth, and you're not able to probably give it back to her either. You know, it's this exchange of energy. So really interesting. As a practitioner, I'm watching this and I just see these patterns, and I'm seeing it more and more. You know, so when I see things like that, and I just in big clumps, so over a few weeks, similar sorts of things showing up, I go, okay, what else is going on? What's this about? What's going on out there that people are, you know? So we've got a lot of the polarity stuff, or the pole shifts and that sort of thing. We've had that for a long time, but it's more so now. I'm seeing it so much more. So anyway, I feel like I've been talking a lot. So going back to, the pain, the reason I'm telling you that story is so that if you do get a lot of emotion coming up and crying, don't stop holding the points. Continue to hold them until that moves through. Hold them, keep breathing it through. You see? Rather than you start to feel a lot of emotion and you go almost into a little bit of a fear and go, oh no, this is making me upset, I'm going to stop. It's actually moving it through, and it's assisting how you're reprogramming how your brain works in relation to the stress. So that would be my suggestion or invitation to you to try that if that happens, to keep holding them, rather than feeling a bit uncomfortable and say, oh, I'm not going to do that, because that's the process. So over years I've seen it, you know, and you know, people that train with me, they experience that too themselves, but they also, when they're practicing on people, they experience that too. And if they just keep moving it through, because it's an energetic thing, you know, you move it through, it moves out the other end and it clears. So there. All right. So are there any questions on that, or comments around, you know, if you tried those points? Anything else that you want to ask about, even in regards to maybe things I've talked about over the weeks? Although if you've watched some of the videos, you might have some questions on past videos. Something that you saw at the expo that you want a bit more clarity on, if you were there and you saw that. If not, that's fine. I'll just give you a moment. I might pull a card. I'll just go through and see. I'll go through on my phone and just see what questions were there that I might have missed, because sometimes I miss, when I'm speaking, I miss things. So I apologize if I've missed your and sometimes I can go back. No questions? No comments? I've got a love heart, or maybe not a love heart, got a heart. It might not be a love heart. I'll take it. Got to love a heart. Doing hearts in your field. So I don't know if any of you have seen, and another one. Thank you. Gotta love it. Because doing that shape, doing the shape of a heart, pardon me. Oh, that's interesting. Something's moving. Oh, Jody just gave me a heart. Thanks, Jody. Doing hearts in your field, what does that mean? It means doing hearts basically in your aura, your biofield, right? I've got a little video in the biofield of somebody. I was taking somebody through the zip up, which is from the groin up to the mouth, and it actually is really great for if you are in a lot of stressful environments and whatnot. I do it all the time because I'm so sensitive that I still want to feel what's going on, but I'm so sensitive, I feel it anyway. But it just gives me a little bit more of my own space, even when I'm in those places like, you know, Conscious Living Expo or something like that, because there's so many people doing energy work around, like, and thousands of people coming through with all of their different energies and whatnot. And I find that I'm able to still stay in my own power without giving it to everybody that walks past, which is what used to happen in the past, because I didn't know how to direct it or invest it or withdraw it, so to speak. You know, I was talking about that before. Let's see. So Sil said, very relaxing. Diane saying, I did the head exercises on person with headache. Which head exercises, Diane? Tried a few that you showed me. Finally tried triple warmer. Headache left immediately. Okay. So, all right. Well, I'm not sure what head exercises because I've got a lot. I talked about at the expo, somebody asked me about migraine, and there's different types of migraine, but triple warmer is always involved. And if it's one-sided pain, gallbladder meridian is usually involved. If it's two-sided pain, that's different again, and it's like, well, what's going on there? Migraines can often be stomach migraines, and obviously, you know, we would be checking stomach meridian. Stomach meridian is also on the earth element, so, you know, grounding and polarity can, you know, we would be checking all of that stuff. I used to get stomach migraines all the time, and I would basically my stomach points on my stomach meridian would go irregular, which is the polarity of the points on the meridian. So that's a bit more advanced, but you know, there's so many things. But yes, triple warmer is the, you know, main part of it, of his work, because it's a yang meridian, is to govern the endocrine system. So is directly connected to our fight, flight, freeze response. Now, you know, migraines, headaches, so I know you're talking about a headache, but these are all generally part of that. But I mean, also, well, I'll teach you that because we've got a class coming up, Diane, energy medicine practice coming up soon. But there's tests for hydration as well, because, you know, if it's a headache, not a migraine, it could be hydration as well. So, you know, there's numerous things. It's oh, actually, so I'm just looking at my phone because on the computer, there's a bunch of left side pain. So yeah, I'd test. So Diane, I can say to Diane, because I'm teaching her some of this. So I would be testing gallbladder to see whether it's over or under energy as well. But we can go through that next class if you like. So let's say, okay. Hi, Nicole. I think you're new here, aren't you, Nicole Fay? I'm not sure that I've seen you here before, so welcome. I love the hearts. It lights me up. I agree. And I notice this in me. Yeah. Hi, Kimberly. She's saying hello. Saw you at the expo. Oh, great. Great. I'm so pleased that you saw me at the expo and tuned in. So go back and look at the replay, because This is just a mini teaching today, but I really felt just what I've been seeing in the field, what people have been experiencing and whatnot, and it's so simple. This stuff is so simple. It baffles me, really. You know, I was saying to people yesterday that, you know, if I hadn't have done research and seen this over, you know, 20 odd years working and doing amazing things for people, I would think, oh, she's mad, like she's, yeah, it's all woo-woo. But I'm telling you, this stuff works. I wouldn't be sharing it. I only share from direct experience. So unless I've seen and felt this work myself, I won't be sharing it with you. If I've just read it and thought, oh, that's interesting, I won't share it with you until I've done the work. The mystic way is direct experience, okay? So this stuff that I'm sharing with you has worked for me, has worked for my family, my children, my grandchildren, the children that I worked with in out-of-home care, you know, with complex issues, in people in crisis, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So left side pain, yep, okay. So I would be looking at gallbladder as well. So usually with, I mean, some of my teachers would probably cringe hearing me say this, but, you know, so there's no, I mean, we don't go, oh, this is the code for this and this is the code for that. But generally, you would have particular meridians involved. So, but you would test them, or you would scan them, or you would, you know, use your way of knowing to get the information. So Nicole's saying, I have fibromyalgia diagnosed, but I'm wondering, as an intuitive and empath, if the pain and fatigue, if the pain and fatigue stems from being drained of my light and energies. Beautiful question. I'm going to put my phone down and give you 100% of my, okay, beautiful question. All right, I'm going to put the cards down even. Autoimmune. Anything to do with autoimmune, linked to triple warmer spleen. Nicole, were you in the actual talk yesterday, or did you just see me at the expo? Did you come and speak to me? Because I don't recall your name, but I met so many people that I could have. Did we actually speak, or did you see what I was teaching? It doesn't matter. I just like to know. So I can refer to things. But I was teaching basically on triple warmer spleen yesterday, and that how the dancers, I suppose, how they dance or don't dance, or dance not so nicely, or dance compatibly, is that a word? But autoimmune, yeah. Did I see you? Were you the one that said you saw me at the expo? Let me see. Oh no, Kimberly. Sorry. Okay. Disregard what I just said. So yes. The answer to your question. Autoimmune, fibromyalgia is an autoimmune condition, let's say. And triple warmer spleen dance, they're two meridians that dance together, that almost cover, let's say, govern immunity, your immune system. So I'm looking at it from that perspective, but on an energetic, well, that is energetic, but on, I suppose, a spiritual development aspect. It's really interesting because we do get a lot of different physiological impacts, symptoms, if you want to call them that, from the raising in frequency and the amount of light that we might be taking on. So that's another, big part of the work that I'm doing and sharing. Pardon me. It's a lot of a lot of energy moving. Is that, if we're not, we can do the ascension path, we can do the evolutionary, spiritual evolution, evolving the human from Homo sapien to Homo luminous or Homo spiritus, okay? So that evolution of the human. But if we're not paying attention and looking after and caring for our vehicle, our physical systems, hence the nervous system information earlier. So if you didn't hear it, you can go back and listen, and there's some tools there that you could use. Then what are we going to come back into? And yes, we can unite and unify the selves within us, but then where are they going to live if this physical body is neglected? So I'll get off my soapbox now, but I'm so passionate about that because, and I was one of those, I just wanted to transcend. So everything that I did was about transcending, and then I realized I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back in, and if I don't look after my system, and I had a lot of problems with, and we do, as the Kundalini energy or that Shakti energy starts surging through our nervous system, we've really got to keep up our minerals and look after our health. So I'm about nervous system health, whether that's on an everyday level or on your spiritual development level, because the amount of energy that comes surging through can burn you out in the same way being stressed from the relative reality can. So as a social worker, social work, they used to say the social worker's life was basically 3 years. This was years ago. 3 years and they burn out, right? And that's what used to happen. Around 3 years, you were just giving so much, giving, because most of us didn't look after ourselves. Most people that go into those sorts of caring professions just want to give. They want to go into service and help people. But what I learned was that, and we all know that, you put the oxygen mask on first, yeah? We got to look after ourselves first. So there's that, because you burn out. And that happened to me, and it happened to pretty much most of the people I was working with. So Nicole's saying, wow, I've heard that for a number of careers, yes. Yes. Hairdressers and taxi drivers are the top. Anyway, the top stress jobs, funnily enough. But anyway, so looking after your nervous system, regardless of what job you do, regardless on what your path is, whether you're following spiritual development or whether you are just wanting to be able to regulate your systems to be able to do your work or your whatever you do in the world, parenting is the hardest job ever, right? Being able to regulate yourself so that you can then co-regulate your children, hugely important, because those little ones, need you to model the behavior. They watch. That's how they're taught, through watching. So we model the behavior we do rather than say, they're watching what we do. So modeling the behavior is important. All right, I feel like I'm lecturing today. Is this all right? Is this interesting? Okay, let's do a card, hey? Would you like a card? Did I answer you, Nicole? I sort of went off on a tangent, but but yeah, being fatigued or being drained of your energies, however you want to describe those energies, yeah. So you could describe it in many different ways. If you are a sensitive, oh my goodness, yes. You know what I would say to you, Nicole? Actually, I'm going to. Okay. So I just went into the energy. Okay. I'm going to share this because I've noticed. So I'm not scanning you, Nicole, or going into it. I'm just sharing it with everybody because it won't hurt whether you need it or not. But if your aura is detaching from your higher heart center, you become very sensitive to your surroundings because the biofield can't filter as well as it could, because there's we call it a detached aura. I need to learn to put protections up. Well, actually, if you follow my streams, you'll see that I don't talk about protection. What I talk about is just keeping your energies humming, because if your energies are humming along and doing what they need to do, there's no need for protection. What are you protecting from? Energies are neither good nor bad, they just are, okay? So we can transform energies, but energy is energy. Do you get me? So what you could do, and what you could all do, is do an infinity sign on the chest. It doesn't matter what way you go. But I used to need this all the time, and I would have to do it numerous times a day because my aura, my biofield goes out so far, and like a sniffer dog wanting to get all the information, and it picks up everything. But what was happening is, because I'm a kinesthetic sensory type, means that we often, those that are kinesthetic, often get this vortex at the chest. Not all of us, and and that's pushing in and pulling out particular types of information. And other sensory styles get vortexes or vortices in other areas that are pushing in and pulling out particular information as well. But to get back to the sensitivities, this is what, when I'm talking to Nicole, this is what's coming up, is that. So, and all of you can do that. It doesn't matter. You could, if you do it, if you're really sensitive, do it slowly. You might not feel it at all. But I used to have to do it regularly because I was magnet sensitive, which meant that even being in front of computers really threw me. I couldn't walk into a room. So when we were doing magnet therapy, I walked into the room and there was a few people spinning these tiny little magnets. They're only like 400 Gauss, small magnets. And they were spinning them because we spin magnets, right? I couldn't even get in the door, and the teacher saw me and she came to me. She said, "Do not go in there." Because she saw me. I got to the door and it was like something just hit me. And it was like I was going to pass out. And she saw me, thank goodness. Julie's the name. And she took me into another room and she goes, "Are you magnet sensitive?" And I'm like, I got no idea. I've never tested. And she tested me, and yes, I was. And it took a lot to get me, to get my energies back online. But it's a very simple technique, and I won't go into today. We'll do it another day. But my point is that I have so many sensitivities, and again, I'm sharing from direct experience because I had to do this. I was actually going to get a pendant made in a figure eight, like an infinity, right? So I can see there's a few questions coming up, or a few comments. So I'm just going to go through and read them. So that was helpful. I need to learn to put protection up. I'm definitely a sensitive and having major energy depletion from those in my workplace. Infinity sign sounds excellent. Yeah, we'll try it and just see if that helps. But do it. I mean, if you really got sensitivities, there's a few other things that we can do, but Maybe that's what we'll talk about next week. I'll go through things for sensitivities and things like that. But that's a big one, is that figure 8, but also, aura health. I think so many of us talk about the aura. I think it's lost its meaning in a way. I call it the biofield or the field. But, keeping that strong and healthy. So last week, so those that are interested or new, go back and watch last week's video. We did scanning of the aura for holes and leaks and tears, so you can get a little bit more information about that too, because that might be something that's relevant to you too. So it's just a little bit more information. So Nicole's saying things like the work I do with crystals has been, or effective blocking has got me not far at all. Effective blocking. Yeah, I'm not into any of that. I understand. I mean, I suppose it's just a different language, because if we talk about blocking and protection, I think that's what you're saying. I'm always trying to keep it on a positive, or not necessarily a positive, but just almost like neutral territory. It's neither good or bad. It's just energy. We're just working with energy. We're moving it in particular ways to assist our evolution. It's neither good nor bad, you see. So then there's no fear. There's no negative mind or positive mind. We're staying in the neutral mind, or the meditative mind or intuitive mind. So I'm big on that, because that assists us to get the mind out of the way, that holds us in these restrictive or in these, not restrictive, these patterns. Yeah. So she's saying, blocking is not working. Yeah, because you don't need to block. All right, so try that and let me know how you go. Try the holding the points. I'm going to pull a card for us all and just see what comes up today. And if there's any other comments or whatnot, crystals raise my vibrations. Yeah. Well, breath work raises your magnetic field, which is or your magnetic force. So I swear by breath work. That's what cured my PTSD many years ago, maybe 15, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. All right, so I'm going to pull a card and we'll see what we get. Okay, this is a beautiful card. Interesting. We've had this before a while ago. All right, I'm just going to sit up so that you can see it. And okay. There we go. Can you see it? All right, so this is card number 9. It's worthiness, and it's blue medicine. Isn't that interesting? Look at the blue hands either side. Blue medicine, we've got a blue hand either side of the blue kingfisher by the looks of it. So it's also west, and it's black, the color black. So it's about all water birds are medicine. If followed, they lead you to water, the essence of life. So the kingfisher in particular represents healing. one would wish any wound, physical or psychological, would mend as quickly as the water's surface face after the kingfisher dives. So I don't know if any of you have seen the kingfisher dive. There's a lot in a lot of kingfishers in Botswana. So I used to watch them as we canoe. Anyway, the kingfisher is like the intrepid warrior that you are. To solve your problems, you move deeply beneath the surface of your emotions into the troubled water, searching for early reasons and conditioning that cause you pain. The blue medicine signifies the deep blue water of your emotions, and your prey is an inferior sense of well-being and worthiness. Like the great bird in flight, once your prey is found, you set your wings to soar high above it, determining where next you will plunge. Let this be your time of healing. Raise your spirit to the skies. So the spirit of the card, I'll read the spirit of the card as well. The kingfisher leads you to healing like the rippling water quiets itself into stillness. The bells and eagle feathers call in the power of water and unfathomable depths. The sacred dream of the West surrounds you, asking you to explain your highest dream. Can you follow the kingfishers deep into the troubled waters or emotions? So that's a question. Can you follow the kingfisher deep into the troubled water of emotions? Another question. What do you find there? What have you been avoiding or burying deep? Far from the light of your purpose and highest self. So speak to yourself of this and ring the bells and sing to call in your supportive spirits. So a few questions for you. So if you didn't get them, you can go back and go through it. But when I was reading that, it relates to what we were saying, because the main neurovasculars are about your emotions. These are what we use. We use the points that I was showing you before, so you can go back and have a look at the replay, for emotional diffusion. So this is what this card sort of suggests as well. So Amy's back. Hey Amy, we're just finishing up. I'm not sure, where are you all from? Amazing card speaks volumes to me at the moment. Well, of course it does, because I pulled it for you, for all of you. And usually when we do that, there'll be a lot of resonance for all of us. So, you know, I love these cards. So they're the Sacred Vision Oracle cards, if you were wondering what cards they were. And okay, well, if there aren't any other questions, I might leave it there for tonight. Maybe I'll just check if there's any. My Molly cat just gave you a kiss. Thanks, Molly. Oh, that's funny. Did Molly tread on the dashboard on the keyboard? Okay. Any other questions? If not, what I want to say, if any of this was of interest to you or resonated with you, or you think that it would be helpful to your groups or your friends or family, please share. I do them so that everybody can gain these tools. And, you know, some of us can't have sessions and whatnot, but we can still walk away with these powerful tools that are really simple. Children can do that. I just saw somebody ask about sort of question. Hang on. Yes, my daughter had her baby. Thanks, Jennifer. Yes, she had a boy. So we have 2 boys and a girl. No name yet. It's interesting that my dad and the older grandson's born on the same day, and this little one was born on the 19th. So they're all like within, days. And then my niece, her birthday is today. So everybody's sort of around, 19th, 21st, 22nd. So anyway, so thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm not allowed to post pictures yet. I posted 1 picture, but you got to let the families sort of do their thing and have their celebration, so I don't take their their introduction to the world. So once they've done that enough, then I'll share. So yeah, I got directions. You are not to post on social media. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. All right, well, we'll leave it there. There weren't any other questions. I know it was more like a bit more of a teaching tonight. But whenever I do these, I call them mystic musings. So it doesn't mean that you can't ask you questions and can't take me off to other places. It's just that sometimes something comes in and I feel like it's significant and I need to share it. So hopefully that's helpful. So thank you for all popping in and saying hello and sharing your comments and your feedback. And yeah, please like at the top and share so that other people could see that it might be worth watching. Maybe it's not. Hopefully it is. And Nicole says, so happy to come across you live. Have to follow. Yes, please do. We're here every Monday, pretty much. I've missed 2 in 8 months, I think. So pretty much every Monday, 6 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. And I do Sunday morning free calls too. They're called the Mystic Medicine, and they're through the Blue Star community. But on Rhombus Healing Arts Facebook page, you'll see the links to that as well. So every Sunday I have a teaching. They are teachings though, rather than, we still do Q&A, we still do questions and whatnot, but they're a bit more, not formal, because I suppose like today really, they're on a topic, and so every week there's a specific topic that will be advertised. And I think actually this Sunday, I believe I'm talking about bizarre experiences. So it's probably a little bit more around awakening and ascension stuff the last few weeks. That's sort of the topics that we've been looking at. So if you're interested in those sorts of things, you can find those free talks as well. Now, the replay for that, there isn't a free replay, so it's only live. It's 10 a.m. every Sunday, but they're free when they're live. So for those new people, I just thought I would share that. Okay, so what were all those happy faces? I just missed it. Let me see. So congratulations. Have a good night. Isn't it exciting that the hearts go into the painting? Do they? Show me. Do another one. Maybe I should do a little thing so I could catch the hearts. Yeah, put some laughter in. Put the little one with the hearts in its face. How do you do that? Let me see if I can do it. I'm going to give myself. Oh, it doesn't work for me. Does that work? I don't think I can do it myself. Anyway, I just wanted to see. Did that work? No. Okay. All right. Love you and leave you. So I will see you on Sunday for those that are coming Sunday. Those that do the Kundalini yoga, I will be in touch with. And those that, we've got the Evolver group. So those that are doing the Evolver group, the 28th. So it's Sunday, but it's later in the day this time. So if you're interested, again, I feel like I'm plugging everything, sort of am. So Conscious Evolution Discovery Group is the monthly group, and that's via Zoom, and it's $33 though. That's a paid group, and that's on the 28th this month. So just a shout out for those that are interested in that. I will post something in the next few days because it is not far away. So I think that's all I had to remind you, but everything will be on the Facebook page. So if you're new, just have a look and see what we actually do and what you might be interested in. And if you like that page, then you'll get the notifications anyway. And if you don't like the page, then you won't. It's fine. All right. Thank you all for popping in. Check out, if you didn't see it all, check it out and try the neurovascular reflex points. Maybe hold them while you go to bed tonight. Or if you wake up at different times of the evening and have trouble going back to sleep, maybe just hold the forehead and see if that helps you. And let me know. Let me know, because feedback's always good. Okay. Been fun. Bye.